Hi guys, Mark Devo. Welcome back to A Conscious Time and welcome to this channel, where we discuss things navigating this world through the eyes of awareness, a bird's eye view as it were, dropping judgment, dropping doubt, dropping guilt, basically any negative attributes that are not of God, which is basically God has given us everything. We are whole, we are perfect, lacking for nothing, free, love, everything, and anything counter that is fear and illusion and ego based. So we bridge navigating this world with spirituality and applications in this world, and also bridging that with my backdrop is or experience is a spiritual journey, but also anxiety and stress. So the channel merges those two. We chat about all things from spirituality, then sometimes it's focused on stress and anxiety. I've got a master's degree in, no, not exactly, but through experience of stress and anxiety. So I hope to add value there and help other people that are going through it, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, whether it's depression, stress, anxiety, basically anything that's fearful. Thanks for joining this this channel. If you're new, please do like, share, subscribe. Please share if you find this adds value. The point of these videos are to uplift. If you walk away challenged, that's great. Just let it sit in your awareness. Some concepts might be very not in your awareness right now, so you just let them sit, and it's all about expansion and growing, and awareness is unlimited. This video is going to be about stress, anxiety at night and sleep, and how it affects your sleep, and how to deal with that, how to prepare for that, how to prevent it. And if you find yourself in the middle of the night with almost a panic attack or that heightened stress or anxiety, we're going to unpack how to deal with that as well, so you can walk away with this and feel, you've got some tangible things. At the end of the day, it's a journey. And so let's jump into it. I'm going to track on my computer here, as well as being well versed and experienced in stress and anxiety. My spiritual journey has been since I came into this world, as far as I can remember. I'm going to be drawing from the Bible, not Bible bashing. If you're new, don't worry, it's definitely not Bible bashing. I draw from the Law of One. I haven't done that for quite a few videos, but these are some of the things. Neville Goddard, Law of One, the Bible, A Course in Miracles I mention a lot. So if you want to just shorten this video and walk away with a perfect answer to how to deal with, stress, anxiety, or specifically what we're talking about in this video is how, to deal with panic attacks or anxiety or repetitive thinking in the night, then just know you're perfect with God. Drop the ego. Without the ego, there is no drama, and you don't, because the ego is that false, as I've mentioned in my videos. I'm not going to unpack it too much right now, but this comes from the Course in Miracles. The ego is the false, illusory thought system. It's everything that is not from God, which is stress, it's scarcity, it's lacking, it's death, demise, etc. It's from the separation, as it were, from God. How we separated, ultimately we are not, but in time. So these videos can go a little bit deep, but they definitely tie in. My spiritual journey has been from stress, anxiety. My spiritual awakening, for lack of a better word, I don't really like to use that buzzword almost, has come from a major role. I'm going to actually unpack that, how I dealt with that and how it impacted me massively one night, actually. So it's an interesting story. But the point is spirituality, and I firmly believe spirituality and stress, anxiety are so interlinked. If you're not very spiritual, then that's fine. You can walk away with some tangible applications to deal with the stress and anxiety. So let me stop waffling on. Let's just jump into this. I'll probably do one or two quotes from the Bible. I'll also draw some things from David R. Hawkins. And please check out my other videos on the anxieties. It's part 1, part 2, 3, and 4. That gives a little bit of insight there as well. So let's jump into it. So a little story about me, actually, and I've probably mentioned in some of my other videos. Part of my experience of this awakening, I went through this was some years ago. And as I mentioned a lot of the time, I know what it's like to live in stress, anxiety, but I also know what it's like to live in the peace of God, which is amazing, beyond words. But this one evening when I was going through a very hectic, trying time in my life, I was battling to sleep. And then on top of that, because I battled to sleep, I felt I actually had anxiety over my health. I thought it was going to be detriment to my health. Now I'm not sleeping. I need to get the sleep. I need to wake up early, etc. I'm sure some of you can relate, and I look forward to some of your sharings from that. But one of these nights, my mind was racing so much, and sometimes I used to have a little drink, just a little one, like a little whiskey, or sometimes a little touch of wine, and it would settle my nerves. But I was racing so much this one evening that I actually eventually ended up drinking about half a bottle of whiskey. And it was aggressive. I was angry because I was so frustrated that I could not sleep. My mind was racing. I'm not going to go into the why. It's all about, we come from past traumas. We come from whatever's going on in our life. So we'll unpack that a little bit more now as well. The point is, I got to that stage. I was dealing with a lot in my life. And as a lot of us do, and it's some of it's self-inflicted. Most of it actually is. But that's the beautiful part, because we have control over that. But anyway, long story short, my mind was buzzing. So now I'm not only stressed and anxious and not sleeping, and this is in the middle of the night, now I'm pretty much half drunk as well. And that was not a good combination. It was not a good experience. I actually thought that was it. I'm going to die. I thought my heart's going to give out, or my mind is not going to recover from this episode. Anyway, long story short, I love to tell the tale, and better for it. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Again, if it's anxiety, stress, depression, don't rest assured, you'll be fine. So yeah, to cut it short again, just rest in God. Give everything to God. That sounds cliche. Let go. And that's the highest calling. We need reminding of all these things. Until we get reminded of that, until we assimilate, know that, experience that, then we've got to put in certain practices. All right, so, why you're going to ask, I'm sure you've experienced, if you do deal with anxiety or stress and that, well, a lot of us have been there. And a lot of it is from a stressful day, an active mind. Now you wake up in the middle of the night and you're thinking about this, you're thinking about that, and I don't know how it's different for everyone, how stressful more they get from that, but it's not a nice feeling. It's more accentuated at night. And the reason for that is, distractions are gone from the day. A lot of people actually can't sit with their own thoughts, but your hormones are changing. Fatigue actually lowers your ability to regulate emotions. So worries then feel bigger. Hormones like cortisol, just reading some notes here, cortisol sometimes spike at night. Sometimes, normally your cortisol actually decreases, adding to restlessness. So there's a combination. I find myself, if I've had a very active day, my mind is racing, I actually I've fallen into sleep only to wake up at 2-3 with an anxiousness. And David R. Hawkins actually talks about that, because we've repressed feelings and explains that what we express, so fear, guilt, worries, they are repressed during the day. They're repressed during our lives until we actually are aware of it, but they're repressed during the day, and sometimes then they rear themselves at night. So again, that's where you've got to tap into the higher side. What are you worrying about ultimately? What are you stressed about? That's the highest calling, to resting in God, ultimately getting led by the Holy Spirit. But until we get there, we've got to become aware of our thoughts and emotions. So that's some practical things there as well. The most important thing is to firstly see what you are doing. What are your habits? What are you creating before you go to bed? It's your thoughts. It's what you've repressed. Are you looking at a screen? These are some common things. The blue light on your screen. I know that if I've been on Excel or working quite a lot, then my mind is active. I'm thinking from the whole day. If I'm doing a lot of different deals or different emails or calls, etc., your mind is already racing. So it takes time to now subside. So that's why you've got to look at your habits and what are you doing to start winding yourself down. Some of my habits I'll do is, obviously, I'll switch off the screen. I'll use blue block glasses. I'll be careful how much I eat. Sometimes overconsumption, and that's alcohol and food. I've decreased my alcohol content just for that reason, but also because I don't like to. Ultimately, I want to kick the habit anyway. But I have a drink now and again, and coffee. I'd steer away from coffee. So those are little practical things, that will help to start slowing your mind down. Your mind also likes habits. So if you're going to bed at a specific time, it prepares for that. Our brains are wired to predict. So the best thing is to obviously follow a routine, and that's going to help preventative things. Once let's say you've done that, but you do actually wake up in the middle of the night and you've got, maybe it's a panic attack, or it's heightened emotions, or it's just your mind is just racing. We've talked about this from David R. Hawkins, and that's just allowing it to come up. Again, quickest takeaway is do not resist it. What you resist persists. So allow it. You are there, accept it. Just accept. It's another just key concept or point or that is just golden. Accept, because you can't really do anything else. The more you fight it, I used to get angry, but the more you fight something, it creates more energy. So you are where you are, you accept it. My wife doesn't care. Me, I start getting anxious. I'm not sleeping, I need to sleep, blah, 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 but over time, it's become very easy. I don't battle that much at all. I sleep very well, but those times, that experience of dealing with these things. So some practices I've done is, before I go to bed as well, I've prepared myself. I've watched what I've eaten. And then what I do is, if I really need to, I will cross my arms, cross your legs. So what that does, I can't remember his name. He's a scientist, or he's not exactly, what is his name? Not Greg Braden. The other guy, I can't remember. But what he's saying is, crossing your legs and your arms, it merges the left and right hemispheres of the brain, and that gets coherence, and that calms you down. You can just research that. But, you can do little things like that before you go to bed. Cross your arms. You can then do breathing techniques such as, tapping, getting your mind and your brain and your system from the sympathetic system, which is your fight or flight, into the parasympathetic. And crossing your legs and your arms helps with that, and also breathing techniques. So if you inhale short with a little, and then exhale longer than your inhale, normally for 8 seconds, let's say you do it for 2-3 seconds inhale, and a little increased inhale at the end, and then slowly out for, let's say, 8 seconds. That switches your mind into your brain or your nervous system into the parasympathetic system. So those are little tricks and tips that help. You can do it before you go to bed. That can be alongside your habits that you're developing. But then again, that can help during the middle of the night when you may be having a panic attack or etc. Sometimes getting up, sometimes even going into the toilet. Number 1, number 2, that can help. So there's a little added bonus there. But yeah, there's various things you can do. Allow any emotions to come up though. Don't resist them. Feel it through your body. Body scan is another tool you can look into. Feeling the body as, what are the emotions that you're feeling? And just becoming aware, because through awareness, you're not judging, and it allows the energy to move naturally through you over time. Sometimes you just have to give it time. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour. Sometimes you have to sacrifice an hour. That once you let go, that is when you'll fall asleep. So I think I've actually covered quite a bit there. Excuse me. Hopefully I have. These are just some little thoughts, tips, tricks, bridging practical things with higher applications. Ultimately, put your hands put your life in God's hands. Be led by the Holy Spirit. Pray to the Holy Spirit. Say, Holy Spirit, thank you for the peace. Grant me peace. You will be answered. So hopefully that adds massive value. And I think I'll just end off there. Just hopefully it's a nice short little sweet video to add a little bit of extra value. Please let me know your thoughts and sharings. And we'll check you on the next one.